There are n number of technologies developed, but what is the impact? Half of the things in the machine are imported. Suppose tomorrow Japan or Germany says, I'm not giving you the best of my technology. Where will you be? I believe in Atmanirbhar. The manufacturing industry needs skilled hands. Stop giving freebies. We made first machine for BYD. The German company had given them minimum 1 hour 45 minutes. Mr. Kelkar made a small prototype and carried it in his duffel bag. Explained it to the General Motor team in the conference room. He said, this is how we plan to do the faster setup change on your machine. There were clauses in that contract. Like if my machine stopped in their line, the whatever production is lost will be debited to me. पंगा है मगर ले लेंगे. Decide किया है तो करेंगे. Data center runs on heavy engines. Engine of half of this room size. Now we are developing machines for that. So there is no unsolvable problem to my mind.
You know, when the future is evolving so fast, when there is innovation, so how does an entrepreneur decide what to put your bet on? Hi, welcome to the We Women Project. Today I'm absolutely delighted to be in conversation with Ms. Mohini Kelkar, who's the founder and director of Grindmaster, one of India's most respected engineering and automation companies. She's a pioneering in production engineering, a field that very few women would have taken up in those days. She has built her garage company based out of Aurangabad into a globally recognized enterprise serving multiple continents today. In this conversation, I'm truly looking forward to learning from her remarkable journey, lessons on leadership from across generations, the future of Indian manufacturing, and what we could all learn about building a global company based out of India. Thank you so much, ma'am. Such an honor to be in your presence today.
Hi Vilasini.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you, and I'm really glad you are running a project like this and bringing out the women careers to everyone.
Thank you.
Very nice. Thanks for inviting me to be a part of this podcast series.
Such an honor and privilege. Before I get started, first I just wanted to kind of understand from you, how did you decide to do engineering when when it was not a very done thing in those days?
True. I passed out my 10th standard in 1975 and took up science as the stream, thinking that I want to be a doctor. Because my uncle was a doctor. I got into the medical admission also, but since I was underage, I was double promoted a few times in the school.
Okay.
So I was asked to wait for 1 year.
Okay.
So I said, what to do for 1 year? It was, let me do engineering for 1 year. So I got into VJTI in Matunga in Bombay. And then somehow I liked it so much. And my father was a bit disappointed because he really thought that medicine is a good career for me. I told my father that no, I want to do production engineering. Since there was absolutely no one in the whole building, no girl or woman or female.
In the entire college?
Entire production engineering department, so to say.
And how many women would have been in the college?
Yeah, there were, in my batch, suddenly 25 girls came in the first time in VJTI. And most of them went to electrical, few in civil and few in mechanical. But I was the only one, so I happened to become a first production engineer in India, in the country.
So one, path-breaking thing to another, you moved from being one of the first production engineers to come and set up a company when it wasn't even fashionable to have a startup.
Yes.
And in Aurangabad. Right?
Yeah.
So tell us something about that.
So here, I think I must talk about my husband, who was 1 year senior to me in my college, VJTI.
Okay.
So we met there. We did lot of things together, mostly studies, of course.
Okay.
Like that time, internet was not there. So
Yeah.
library was our favorite place because I was also always curious about how a thing is made.
Mm.
You know, if you see a part or if you see a car, how exactly the whole car is made, how the parts are made, what are the processes. So we had to go through the books.
Okay.
We knew each other for 2-3 years in VZTI, and then we got married immediately after my graduation. So immediately after marriage, we were thinking we must do something different. But till the time the idea comes, we were working in Pune. In fact, I was selected in the campus interviews in L&T itself, Larsen and
Fantastic.
Toubro,
Yeah.
and he was selected by Telco.
Oh,
So
okay.
Telco is Tata
Pune.
Motors,
Yeah,
Pune,
Pune.
Tata Motors. So he went to Pune. I was thinking of joining L&T, but my boss there, being a sandwich course, I was in L&T for 6 months as a
that.
part of the course. As a
Okay.
part of the course. So
Okay.
the same department selected me. They said we want this candidate to continue with L&T. So
Beautiful.
absorb her as a graduate trainee. But when he knew that my husband will be in Pune, he said, no, don't join L&T because see, that time it was not like today is a weekend marriages.
Yeah.
Era was different. So then I did not join L&T and I went to Pune. Then I appeared, I asked for Bajaj because I said Bajaj is a company. But in Bajaj, I was flatly said, we don't even have the secretaries, women secretaries.
Wow.
So forget about the
Engineering role. Wow.
Incidentally, Madhur Bajaj, later, Bajaj set up a factory in Aurangabad. So we used to meet on the industry forum, and then I spoke about this incident that your company said this to me, that in front of a big crowd.
Wow.
And then he said, look here, that's why probably you became an entrepreneur.
Right.
Because
You had
you didn't get jokingly like. But apart from that, so after working in Pune, I was working in PMT, Perfect Machine Tools, and he was in the machine department in Telco, machine setting and maintenance. So we used to always feel that we have to do something, but what to do, it was not striking. Some people said you make bulbs, you make some contract work for someone. Somehow it was not striking us. We said, no, that is run of the mill. We fight with so many others. And so then the opportunity came from Nirlep. Nirlep, owners of Nirlep Bhogles are from Aurangabad. And my husband also comes from Aurangabad.
Okay.
So my in-laws also were very keen that we come back
Move back
from Pune. And then everything, all this happened together. But when Nirlep said, why don't you make a buffing machine, develop a buffing machine for us? We have problems in buffing processes.
What is a buffing process?
Yeah. So buffing process is when you make a pan or a pressure cooker. You press it. The aluminium part is pressed. So that raw material aluminium is dull. It doesn't shine. To make it shine, we have to do the buffing.
Okay.
So for us also, buffing is not taught in any colleges, Vilasini. So we were also wondering, I mean, so then we went to their factory, we saw the process, we saw the pain points, like why they are asking, what they want from us. And then we made some rough designs. And you will be surprised because see, we come from a middle class background. So whatever we earn was only what we had.
Right.
It was not as if we
had a legacy or you had something
yeah.
to carry forward.
So practically me and my husband made a drawing board stand from वो mango का पेटी रहता है ना उसका जो लकड़ी है because we used to buy mangoes वो काट के उसको stand बनाया. Then we put the drawing board which we had from engineering college, mini drafter. There was no CAD that time. And then we designed something and then we did not have a factory. So we came to Aurangabad, went to some small shops to get the parts made. And then we built a prototype.
Fabulous. My God.
So this, taking 1 week off from our working.
Company. Oh, you were
Because-
working there
Haan,
and
we
you
were-
came and did this on the
Haan,
side. Okay.
Yeah, on the sidelines, we did this. We made that machine, we gave it to Nirlep. It worked 30-35%, to
Okay.
be very frank.
Okay.
Because everything was new for us also. We had never designed a machine before, no experience. But it gave us some idea. We said, okay, we know what is wrong in this. That is more than enough. And then we said, chalo, now we have got the line. We leave our jobs. And then we decided, my in-laws were very, very welcoming. They said, yeah, come over. And they were really very supportive. See, there was no pressure of earning. This is again very important.
But how was that? I mean, how was there no pressure of earning?
Because they said they supported us. We stayed in a joint family.
Understood.
They did not expect anything from us in the first 2-3 years.
Lovely.
We practically gave nothing because everything was new for us. It was started in a small garage and the first buffing machine was made there again for Nirlep, which worked well for a long time because from the prototype there were a lot of learnings. And then we also then went and saw a lot of exhibitions and picked up the things from there and we designed a better machine.
Right.
Later, this very machine got a Parkhe award from Maratha Chamber
Wow.
of Commerce in Pune.
Wow.
So that is how then we left jobs and came back. At that time, one thought which was there in the Aurangabad air, Bajaj came to Aurangabad in 85. Immediately in 1 year after we started. And Bajaj called all the prospective small companies, small scale industries to say that why don't you become our suppliers? See, because Bajaj wanted to have a supply chain. And so we also went for that meeting at Bajaj Auto, saying that you take up these parts. They showed us several parts which can be made in the industry
All auto
here.
components.
Auto component, ancillary.
Ancillary.
Yeah, so then we thought, then we said, अरे ये तो फिर ऐसा बात हो गया कि they are going to tell us what to do.
Innovation is not.
That will be missing. And Vilasini, when we were in the job, we always felt that our idea is not well taken by our bosses. We were thinking that this is how it should be and we will do it like this. And they did not allow it to be done. And we said again, we will be in the same situation which we didn't want. And that's why we were keen to leave the jobs and do something on our own. So then we said, no, it looks like a low-hanging fruit because your business customer is ready-made there.
Right.
There is no innovation. They are going to tell you what machines to be used, what process to be adopted. Then what is your role?
Right.
So it is like Bajaj manager setting up something outside Bajaj.
Correct.
Something like that. So we said, no, we don't want to toe that line. Maybe we have to struggle more in this line, but it will give us satisfaction and long term it will give us better results, is what clearly me and my husband thought. The year we started our factory here, 1984, my son Samir was born the same year. So we say that we have twins. One is our grindmaster, one is Samir. And because of my in-laws and the family support, we could do it. I think I'm blessed about that. And we put our heart and soul in, bringing up and developing new products because the cookware was just a beginning, buffings. But we could see that these machines were imported that time.
Right.
When we built a machine for Nirlep, they showed us some Italian catalogs.
Right.
and nobody here was making it. All kinds of grinding, finishing, deburring, polishing, these machines were not made. And we could see that there are multiple applications of these processes where process knowledge was also very less. So we said, okay, now this is a thing that we would like, and we started.
Lovely. You started at a time when India hadn't opened up in terms
Yeah,
of its
yeah.
economy,
True.
the political landscape, the
Yeah.
infrastructural landscape,
Yeah.
power. For
Yeah.
that example,
Yeah.
a manufacturing entity requires so much power. How was it there, and how did it shape up
Yeah.
over the next 4 decades?
It was so different. That time, everything was in shortage. So, power cut Friday, there was no power over here. It was a privileged day of not having the power.
Okay.
Because it was staggering thing. No? So, that was one. Then funding, banks, or that time even CCOM or MSFC, they used to fund as if they are doing a big favor to the industry. And you will not be believed, we paid interest of 24%
My
to
God.
MSFC that time. So it was as bad as that. The process was very, very long. It is so different. It was. And another thing was the infrastructure in Aurangabad. What you see as Aurangabad now,
Yeah.
it was not like that that time. That time, even for buying some motors, electric motor is a very basic thing of any machine.
Yeah.
We used to go to Bombay, and that time everything we used to do by ourselves. So by taking overnight bus, go to Bombay, see what all varieties are there. Now all the catalogs are on internet.
Right.
You can order on
You can
internet.
order online, or you can pick up the phone and talk to them and get it
Exactly.
done.
And they would deliver at your doorstep
Yes,
with your
yes.
favorable payment terms.
Yes.
Nothing like that. Even for special steels, we had to look for, because in a machine you need some hardening processes. So some special steels are required. So then we had to build that supply chain here. So even because we didn't want to make every part ourselves, so we tried to also develop the vendors which were doing, which had kind of roadside workshop. That time vehicles used to break down on the road more often, and these workshops were catering to these parts, make these parts and fit it and start
Make the
off.
car running.
Car running, even the machinery, small machinery in, say any textile machinery or any machinery which was running in the city, breakdown means then you would go to this shop, show him the part, and he would make it.
And give it.
From there, even Aurangabad has grown so much.
Yeah.
With Bajaj Autos, Skoda, that time Colgate, Videocon.
It's become an industrial hub.
Now even Toyota, JSW, Ather, they're all investing in Aurangabad. So Aurangabad is a big place now. Everything is available here. The perspective of funding also changed quite a lot. That government realized that industry needs easy funding, ease of doing business. So these things have been happening. People talking about it and happening in a big way. So now it's much different than 40 years before. But same or even bigger change we saw in China.
China, is it?
The first time we went to China was in 97, 98. And now I went recently last month with the delegation. The infrastructure or the scale of manufacturing that they have got, or even the R&D that they are doing, it is amazing.
What were the ingredients? What made China move in that direction at that pace?
See, even the whole world is amazed. Actually, initially they started as a supply chain. Since then, strategically, their government took the moves to fund the industry, to support the industry, to grow it, to give it a scale. They realized that the world manufacturing can happen in China.
So if there were 3 things that the government did, what was it that they did?
They did big funding support. Even now we can see that funding, the incentives for exports, that is also very large. And then even acquiring companies outside China, supporting that, and skilling. as well.
Skilling them.
Skilling and R&D. They gave a huge importance to innovation and R&D since the beginning. So when they brought the European industry in China, they had the mission to learn from them. It was not like they have come, we have got the jobs, we are happy. The mission was always to learn from them, and probably that's why the Chinese partner was compulsory. So every venture that
You need a Chinese.
so government person is always there in that company, and so strategically they have really moved very smart,
Very smart.
very smart.
You think India is keeping pace?
India is trying, and I think the government is definitely very, very keen and willing to, push manufacturing agenda. And so through IMTMA, I will talk about that as
Sure.
well.
We'll park it for then.
Yes.
But how did Aurangabad become the hub? Why did, a Bajaj or a Videocon? Was it people? What was it that drew them to this place in Maharashtra?
So I think initially the subsidies and incentive schemes, to be very frank, because there is nothing bigger than the money that gets the industry here. Here or anywhere.
Anywhere else.
So this was a backward zone declared, and so Bajaj or Videocon or they came here because of that the land was given free or whatever subsidies were given. But later, Vilasini, the entire growth of Aurangabad, supply chain to all these industries was the son of the soil. Entrepreneurship which is in this land definitely is worth mentioning.
Right.
So the companies or people who even became their supplier, they did not depend themselves only on Bajaj Auto or XYZ. They grew. They had the ambitions to grow, get bigger, and supply to multiple companies even outside India. So you take any automotive in the world, some part of it has gone from Aurangabad.
Really?
It is as much as that. So take Endurance Group or Varroc Group. There are now these groups have grown. They started in 85 in a very small way, but they are now multiple companies. And there are also local companies like Sanjeev Auto, Rucha. All these people or AITG Group, Mr. Bogle's group, they all grew so much, and that the credit goes to their entrepreneurship and not the subsidies alone.
Understood. So when you were building Grindmaster, all of these people were also growing alongside you.
Yeah.
Was that one of the reasons why you also aspired to be a world-class company, or what is it that drove you and your husband
to be world-class?
Yeah, to build something, to scale it.
Yeah.
And to build it to serve a China market or to serve a French market, European market.
Yeah. See, these companies were essentially contract workers. They were doing the jobs of somebody, maybe Bajaj, Tata Motor, or say Ducati in Italy or Mercedes in Germany. But essentially they were part makers.
Understood.
So the processes and everything was there. It was set. They had to invest. They had to take the risk. So that was there. But for us, it was the product development. So it was not something as a supplier to someone.
Understood.
We made the machines for others. So developing the machines for Indian customers and then later getting into the export market. This was our ambition. We always thought that we should make a footprint on the world map. We should not limit ourselves here. So even when...
Where did that come from?
It is, I think, inner desire. That's all. Maybe some people will feel that doesn't make a big economic sense because entering any new market with a niche technology is not very commercially viable sometimes. Yeah. But sometimes it, like China, we went to, it was very, very commercially viable when we did that. But every time we did this, it was not a commercial decision. It was a decision to
break
do it.
One market, or to go there and and do it.
Yeah, there was a point in time in I think 2000, 2002, we had a good spread in India. So if you go anywhere and say Grindmaster, they would say, yeah, we know they are finishing people, their machines are good. And I mean, we were the first choice of all the customers in India. But we said that still some companies in India are importing the machines. And these German and Japanese brands are still there. Why are we not able to beat them outside India? In India, to some extent, we are beating. Not every time, but say 80-90% we did beat them. But otherwise, I mean, see, this export drive also is a learning. And we were always wanting to learn and take on the challenges. So we used to think, what is it in their machine which is not in our machine? And what is it in those companies that we don't have? And that curiosity always made us take the new challenge. Okay, we will go to Germany, we will see what it is, and we will see how we can develop it ourselves. So, to be very frank, our first micro finishing development happened like that. We did not have any sales or marketing up to 95. We started in 84, 10 years, no marketing and
Word of
sales.
mouth. Word of mouth.
Yeah, word of mouth. You know, they used to come and give us that chance to develop. And then we used to say, okay, we will see what you have now, because they were all imported machines, and make something of our own, because even imported machines had the problems.
Yeah,
So,
service and all of that.
So
will
we
be-
said we don't want to copy that. We will do something better, checking the pain points of the customer. Then Bharat Forge came to us for forging. Deflashing was the requirement. We made a machine for them. I remember that time discussing with Baba Kalyani, because he was, hands on that time. Yeah, this was in 88, 89.
Wow.
I remember discussing, made some sketches, like this is what our idea is. And he was, go ahead. What price? See, we said ki whatever our cost is, you give us that. We develop the technology, and then we can build on further. And then we made a machine for the forging that time. And then there was a company in Indore who was making stainless steel anneal tubes.
Okay.
And they did not have the process and the machine to polish it. They were all doing manually, which was not giving the right results. So we said, okay, we will develop this centerless machine. So then we developed the centerless machine. When we made that centerless machine and we put it in testing, the tool which is used was sourced from India. And that tool will get worn out so quickly that for every tube, after every tube, you have to change the
replace
tool.
the-
Then we said, the customer did not say anything, but we ourselves said, this is not right. I mean, how can he run the machine? Let the machine be with us. We told him that this is what is happening. We did not push the product. See, we were always kind of on the customer side.
Customer centric.
Customer centric. Ki whether my machine is really going to benefit him or not. Unless you think that your product, and then you develop it yourself, rather than somebody shouting at you that this is not working, that is not right. You are doing it first time doesn't justify that I accept that quality kind of product. So then we said, let us find out how they do it in Germany. So both of us, we went to Germany, and then we went to the exhibition and we saw some things. So there was a three German companies who made these tools.
Oh.
We went to them and we said, what is it? And can you tell us that our Indian abrasive wears out so fast? Do you have a solution for that? Openly we said, we made something, but this is our problem now. So they said, yes, this is a product for that.
Wow.
So the tool advancement, they were also like, they looking at us, you made centerless machine. We said, yeah, and we showed them the photographs and all. And then they said, you take this free of cost. Take the tools, test it on your machine. We did that. It worked. And then our customer was also happy. But we said, you will have have to import this because these tools are not made in India. So the economics, because that time the duty was not very low. But still this company being an exporter, they said, don't worry, we will import these tools. And they started importing from that German company. Then that German company came to us. They said, why don't you sell our products in India?
Understood.
The collaborations were given to us from the other side.
Right.
So when they said this, we said, okay, let's do that. So then we started importing the tools, keeping the stock. Then they said, why this? Because the abrasive belt is made out of abrasive cloths. Cutting it to the width, length, and then pasting it. So they said, we'll show you how to make a belt out of it. We will show you. Come over to Germany again. We went there 2-3 times, in fact, to learn what is that technology. See, because we realized that unless you have the right tools and the process, and
You can't
polishing being
create.
completely unknown here, you cannot get that result,
Absolutely.
which we wanted to be on par with any German company. We were not happy with what we could do here. So we said we have to do it. So we collaborated with them. And in fact,
But it's so beautiful because the learning. So you went upfront, told them, they were willing to teach, they were willing to collaborate.
Exactly. See, Vilasini, I believe that when you are genuine, no, people see that, the genuineness. And whereas in industry or in trading, there is so much of superficialness.
Yeah, I get it.
The genuineness is not there. And so the trust is less. With us, we wanted to exert ourselves. We didn't want to have a big bungalow or a big factory. So our intention was clear that we want to develop the technology and be known for it.
Understood.
Simple.
Understood.
Be known for it, not be known for the riches that you have.
Yeah.
They will come, and they have come actually. So, so the point is, that is how we got in collaboration with this company.
German.
We went to get the better tools, and we then set up a factory to make those tools. So these are our subdivisions now. So it all happened like that.
So here, I mean, I have a lot of questions. I'm just trying to. One is, today, which are the industries in which the products are deployed? If we have to.
It is a very wide range. Up till now, I have told you about our decorative finishing and forging. So we made a pressure cooker, outside polishing, inside. So it was a range of about 10 different machines for cookware industry itself.
Understood.
Right from semi-automatic to fully automatic.
Okay.
Then for tubes and bars, I told you.
Then
gear
Bajaj.
deburring. So gear people are our customer. And then came a breakthrough of microfinishing. So that really changed the Grindmaster entirely. See,
What is microfinishing?
Yeah. So these processes are kind of aesthetic or decorative finish.
Right.
So it is meant for giving a good looks.
Ah.
Take this glass, it is finished.
Yeah.
So it is looks. You don't measure what is a finish and all that. So this is decorative, whereas a crankshaft or a engine part needs a specific values of the finished surface.
Yeah.
So that is what we call microfinishing. So which is a engineered finish.
Engineered finish.
Engineered finish means you measure it. This is visual. But whereas you measure the finishes and you achieve specific values. So as I mentioned before, this microfinishing technology caught our attention in Germany.
Okay.
We went for a week and for the exhibition. We always wanted to go there and see whatever we can. Industry. No sightseeing. No, not seeing the various sites.
This is your sightseeing, I think.
It was sightseeing. In fact, after every factory visit or wherever we got a chance to see some new technology, we went. And we saw it like with our VSM partner, tool partner. See, for the tool partner in Germany, Hanover, we said, you tell us what are the applications of your abrasives, where all you are selling abrasive. So they said, okay, we sell it for tube grinding, we sell it for faucets, the brass fittings and faucets which are used like Jaguar and so
Understood.
many companies
Yeah.
are there.
Yeah.
So they showed us those things. Then we said, okay, then we'll develop a machine for that. And we developed the machines for polishing faucets. In fact, Jaguar and SS Bath Fitting and Mark Sanitation, they are all our customers for machine as well as abrasives because this goes as a package. I'm going to show you that this is your input and how to go here. All the processes in between. I will develop for you. So this is how we went to the industry. And so in every such visit, and in one of the visits, the micro finisher caught our attention. We could see that there is a film backed abrasive tape which is made by 3M, and it was on a small machine, and it generated a finish which was engineered, which had a value and seen. We just saw that, we said, okay, I think we can make it. Like there is what all motions are there. We took a very detailed sketching in the train back from Hanover. To Frankfurt, because I had observed something, Milind had observed something. We made a sketch, and once we were back, we just said we will make it. Let's see, first prototype we will make, and we really made it. And it worked. We had to make some improvisations. Never a first time thing is 100% okay. You have to improvise it. So we put it on a lathe and did on a turned surface. We said, let's see what results we are getting. And we got good results, right? So then an opportunity came actually from Kirloskar Systems. They had one part which needed engineered finish. And I don't know, they located us somehow. And they approached us and we said, okay, this is our prototype. Let us see how we build a machine out of it. And we made the machine, it's still working.
Wow.
That machine gave a very, very uniform finish. And then we made a couple of machines like that. This caught the attention of 3M. Because 3M wants to sell the consumables,
the film that you were talking about.
the film which we are talking, they wanted to promote. So a very senior gentleman from 3M visited us, our factory. They saw what we are doing. Probably he saw the enthusiasm that is there, and then they said, you come over to Minneapolis. We will pay for entire visit. You just come over. I will show you what we do with the films. And then we were in Minneapolis. It was amazing. The R&D center that 3M has there. 3M is a really innovation. It is a hallmark of innovation, so to say. Then what happened? 3M was in very close touch with a company called as IMCO in USA. Because IMCO is a pioneering company who made the finishing of the crankshafts. The engineering finish, what
So
you say.
crankshaft goes into automobile, right?
Automobile in the engine.
In the
So
engine.
crankshaft and camshafts are part of the engine, and IMCO makes the machines for that.
For polishing.
Yeah, so IMCO being in touch with 3M mentioned to them that if you are looking for doing something in India, because in 2003, around 2003, there was recession in US market.
Yeah.
And they had also operations in China, some office, but they were not able to make it profitably. So they said, okay, now India is growing. India that time was the new companies like Bharat Forge themselves was growing very well. So they said, let us see what we can do. And so 3M introduced us to them, or them to us, rather, them to us. Because when 3M said that IMCO wants to meet you, we said, okay. So we went again to US, we met them. Then we said, okay, to start with, we know Bharat Forge. You come over, I will introduce you. You see if you can sell your machine there. So they came. I took them to Bharat Forge, to Tata Motors. I was doing sales part of it. Milind was more into the manufacturing. And yeah. So I took them, and there was a RFQ immediately.
Hmm.
And immediately they could see that
Potential.
the potential is there. I then took them to Tata Motors,
Hmm.
and both the customer orders were like almost finalized in
Hmm.
that meeting itself,
Hmm.
which was, I mean, a little bit new
Unthinkable.
to me, unthinkable to me. And after all those meetings, they asked me, can we collaborate? Technical collaboration. For me, that machine is really very difficult. So I said, let me think about it. And then I called Milind that you come over. They are saying something like this. We have to really see
Understand
that
the
whether
technology.
this challenge we can take up, because these machines are very highly accurate. One machine has about 5,000 parts, and they are asking about collaboration. So Milind said, no, no, let's do it. And then our collaboration started, a technical collaboration to start with. They offered us license agreement. So initially it was like some things you make it, but most of the things we'll send from US. Then they realize it is not economically, beneficial. And so they said, okay, let us have a license agreement. You pay us the license fees and then the royalties. And that is how, again, they asked us whether we can have a joint the license agreement with them. And then that license agreement happened with IMCO, which really put us into another bracket, because the engines, or these are the three C's: the crankshaft, camshaft, conrod, most critical parts of any automotive.
Understood.
So critical operation in this, IMCO was a very good partner. We took them to the Indian customers, and we realized that the build standard of the machine, or if you go in the depth of the machine, the systems that are used, if we do the same as US, it will not sell so well in India, because then you are using US specification.
Right.
So we keep the heart of the machine same, which means the end result of engineering finish will be exactly same as what they are doing. The tooling same, but the paraphernalia we make to suit our Indian conditions. So say hydraulics or CNC controls, the softwares, and we said we feel we have the capability to develop it, and we can share it with you. You can check whether this is good enough or not. And this is what we did. So it was never adopting the designs exactly. We added our engineering ideas.
Something that there will be different that you have brought into the engineering space. So from the Mango box to 2003 prototyping, you had almost. So how large was the organization by then, and how did these prototypings happen in parallel?
So till I think 1990s, we were really in a very small garage, say first 5 years. And then we got one order from TI Cycle. TI Cycle, they make the cycles, and they make the rims. Every cycle has the rim. So they had one imported machine from Italy for polishing the rims. And there is a company in Pune, Electronica. They took up the development of that machine on them. And then they realized that instead of them slogging on developing that huge machine, it was of the whole this length, about 10-15 meter long. So they said, you develop that machine. We show you the machine there. We went to TI, sat there, made some rough drawings, sketches, ideas, because completely different. Rim polishing, entirely different. And then we said, oh, our factory is we cannot put that machine in our factory. We cannot assemble. So rather than hiring a place, why don't we buy? And that is how this factory came. Not this, the other one. We took it in the auction, and there was only flooring. Everything else was in a very bad condition. But we started building the machine there. Simultaneously, factory was getting made. On the ground, machine getting assembled. On the roof, the roof getting assembled. So when we built this factory, naturally it was a bigger factory, and we had to expand. So we took up, I think that time we had about 35 people. with us, working with us. 35, but 5 or 6 in design itself. And up to that time, we were making parts outside. So we used to make the drawings, find out the vendors, and there were huge amount of problems because the Aurangabad infrastructure, understanding the tolerances on the drawings, processes, how to make those critical machine parts was a
Right.
big challenge. Huge number of rejections.
Oh.
Every time we used to make at least twice the part, and then we said no, we have to set up our own machine shop. So then we invested in our own machines, wherein we had a control on part manufacturing, control on the quality. Yeah. So then we expanded our organization to say about 100. When we set up our machine shop, it had about 20 different machines which were used for making the parts. The castings and fabrications, fabrication we did in-house. Castings were bought from outside. So that machine shop then grew further. Because we said now it is very clear that unless we invest in our machines, we will not get the right quality.
Right quality of output.
Yeah, and probably we would not have had the IMCO collaboration if we were not
Didn't
there.
have that.
We had
Didn't
to have that kind of a setup. So slowly then we started building organization. In 93, 94, I think, we realized, in fact, I realized that we are developing. What about selling it to many companies to get a commercial benefit? So then I got into it. So rim polishing, then we made about 50 rim polishing machines and gear deburring more than 200. So we built then the sales organization. First, I was the only one going out and selling. Then I hired a couple of people, and then the sales organization was built. Growing. Simultaneously, our assembly shops were growing and our machine shop grew. And when our collaboration with VSM Germany happened, the abrasive manufacturing was added. So that was a kind of annexure or a separate division to make the abrasives and sell them. So
Understood.
then that also was growing. So everything went kind of parallel.
Hand in hand.
Hand in
And
hand.
one after the other
One
in a very
after-
organic
yeah,
manner.
yeah.
How did funding happen? Like even today, I think, funding to manufacturing is a much lesser, like, consumer tech or AI or somebody can get a lot
Yeah.
more funding than the industry.
Yeah.
So how was it then? How did you manage?
See, in the beginning, we started with a very meager 25,000 rupees capital, and our first loan from Bank of India was 80,000 rupees. And then MSFC, we got the loans, but to be
It was all debt.
yeah, but we did one more thing. We raised the deposits from the relatives. Everyone giving something and we give good interest rate.
Yeah.
That was another way of funding we raised. And in our case, each of our machines, the customer gave us the advance.
Okay. So apart from funding, building people would have also been quite challenging here,
Yes.
right? Building the talent,
Absolutely, yeah.
etc. So how did you do that? How did
Yeah. It was a very big challenge because what we get as fresh engineers or the candidates was not good enough here. So we evolved our own training programs, which were earlier even run by myself and my husband. Now also in Grindmaster, there is a orientation and training program for every employee who joins. And this is run by the top management, the team who is with us for a long time, for a long period. And we were quite hands-on that time. So we were on the shop floor, we were observing people and training them all the time, pointing out the mistakes and developing them. Once we also tried to hire people from Pune and Mumbai, because they were a little better, definitely. But then we realized that they use it as a stepping stone. They are not fully mentally
Committed
involved,
into it,
committed, because
yeah.
they look for another job and 1 or 2 years they switch. So we said, anyway, we have to teach everyone. So let us take the people from this region, Marathwada. So for us, like we were always wanting to learn. We want people like that because that then only the learning will come.
will build?
And so we looked for people who have fire in the belly, basically.
Right.
And who go with our culture. Easygoing people will not be the right fit. And so we evolved, and then later on, as our company became bigger, the legacy, like people who are with us for a long time, they naturally got promoted. And the younger people, though they are brighter, did not have another opportunity to grow faster. And we realized that that opportunity has to be created. So we created a fast track.
Oh, interesting.
So fast track means the bright people are taken under that. They are given the fast promotions
Understood.
than somebody who has joined even earlier but not bright enough and has
Understood.
been legacy with us for a long time. We need those kind of people also.
You need a mix of both.
Mix of both.
You know, before I move out of this, I just want to tell you today, if someone was evaluating a German product, a Japanese product, and a Grindmaster product, why do you think they will pick a Grindmaster product?
Yeah. So, see here, many Indian companies will tell you that we are cost competitive. And so buy our.
Okay.
We were completely against this right from the day one. So we always said you evaluate us technology wise, how good we are, and then you buy. We may be 10%, 15% cheaper, but not like half of German price. And we never wanted to be that. In fact, I had once a big discussion with a public sector company, they had a tender and we did not put in. And this gentleman knew that we make those kind of machines. So he called me. He said, why are you not putting in the tender? I said, because I don't want to be L1. I said, I'm not L1.
And why?
And you buy only L1, then why should I put the tender? My technology is different. If you are not able to differentiate us with a competitor who is giving you L1, then I'm not interested. Then we really had a long discussion. Then he came down and then he said, he told his people, now you find the differentiators and put those things in the tender and make it work because we want a better machine. Because the competitor had earlier given a machine which was a scrap. They knew it. So he knew that the other option he has is importing it. So, the point is even for exports, we always went to the advanced countries. And to give you one example, in General Motors, how we got the order in General Motors against.
Was it your first export order?
No, it was second export in China. Yeah, I forgot to tell you about our China operations. In 2009, there was a recession, big recession everywhere. That was a
Lehman crisis. The Lehman crisis.
Yeah. So that time, our partners IMCO, they said, why don't you take on the China business? So they offered us the China business that you sell in China, pay us the royalty as per our agreement. And so we got into China. IMCO took us to China. When we took on that challenge, we made first machine for BYD there. BYD is a Chinese maker. And then came the General Motor opportunity. General Motor was on a big spree in China. In fact, they have about 17 plants in China and all our machines. So when the first this proposal came through IMCO only, they said, would you like to take up? Because General Motor company is a huge.
Yeah, I know.
General Motors is not something and for the crankshaft.
Wow.
So that was another point where we had to take on the real challenge.
Such a moment of pride, ma'am.
Such a moment of pride. And so there, when we went, they said that we want a setup change from one job to another in less than 1 hour. 45 minutes is better. The German company had given them minimum 1 hour 45 minutes because you have to change all these parts and it will take 1 hour 45 minutes. So they said, can you make a machine with a very short setup change? We took up that challenge. And in fact, Mr. Kelkar made a small prototype and carried it in his duffel bag and explained it to the General Motor team in the conference room how exactly he will reduce the setup change.
My God. Yeah.
So he said, this is how we plan to do the faster setup change on your machine. They were so happy. I mean, and then that order came to us. So it was on the basis of technology, not on the basis
This
of
is
price.
price.
Yeah, and it was not too less
Yeah,
than
it's not
Germans.
too less.
But we could get that order only because we did a innovation idea which we implemented, and with the success of the first machine, we subsequently made 20 machines for General Motors, 17 in China, one in Toluca, that is Mexico, and one in Korea. So all these machines came as a contract. But the first machine, Vilasini, was a nightmare. We took the challenge, the General Motor RFQ. RFQ is request
Yeah.
for quotation,
Yeah.
right? Was 100 pages. Up till then, companies like Bharat Forge or Ashok Leyland never asked us all that.
Yeah.
So we said, my God, now reading through it, understanding each and every point and doing it. So it was a huge thing. And although IMCO said, okay, you can do General Motors, they never helped us further on.
You were on your own.
We were on our own, and we said, now we have taken up, now we have to do it. So practically 1 month to 1 or 2 in the night, we were in the factory. 1 or 2 in the night, every day, till the first machine was built. Because the first
So
machine is
inspiring.
always very, very challenging.
Yeah.
And then when we could make it successful, see, because there were very odd clauses in that contract. Like if my machine stops in their line, the whatever production is lost will be debited to me. You get the point.
I can imagine.
It was never before like that. I mean,
Yeah.
when we said okay to them, we had not thought about all those things. When we read the whole contract, we said, now अभी ये
बात लग गई
बहुत
बात।
बड़ा पंगा
Yeah.
है मगर ले लेंगे. अगर हमने डिसाइड किया है तो करेंगे फिर. So because of that, we had to be very careful that our machine doesn't stop for a minute. Otherwise, I mean, getting a huge debit note from China in terms
Obviously.
of dollar would wash away our company at that time.
There's risk taking, there's hard work, there's a set of value systems and belief in yourself. I know it sounds easy, it's just English words, but put together, one can build a world-class company out of India.
Yes, surely one can build. And I mean, we have shown it in our small way, because see, to be very frank, we are in a niche. We are in the micro finishing technology, but we are going very deep into it, and that is what we wanted. There were multiple other business proposals, like do some contract manufacturing of some things. We also tried that in between, but we said इसमें मजा नहीं
You're
है.
not enjoying it.
हाँ.
You need to enjoy what you're doing and what you're
Exactly.
building.
That was always on the back of our mind. So it is not only the numbers. We never chase the numbers, but we said we want to be world class. We want to be chasing that, getting to world class and being known for our technology in the world. Not only in India. And if we are able to do that, that is our ambition. We don't want to chase कि आज 100 crore है, कल 200 करेंगे, फिर 300 करेंगे. That mindset is different, and we don't have that mindset. My son, fortunately, also doesn't have that
I was
mindset.
just going to come to that part of the conversation. I think it's brilliant that you have now the second generation coming. I have 2-3 questions here. Samesh from IIT Bombay.
Yes.
And from UC Berkeley. I think fantastic institutions.
Yeah.
How did you inspire, the next generation to... For example, I'll tell you, my son, after COVID, he said, I definitely don't want to do what you and my dad are doing. So as parents, how do you inspire? How do you guide? You've lived busy lives.
Yeah, we were all the time busy. We are blessed with a very intelligent, brilliant, and a good son. He is otherwise also very well behaved, and he likes to do many things. So when he was studying here and he used to be first in the class, I used to think in a small place like Aurangabad, it's easy to get first. But when he got the All India rank 150 in IIT IIT entrance,
Wow.
studying on his own here without
Studied
any
on his
class, without any Ramaya or Kota or any such thing. When he got, I said, Abhi, I think there is something in him which. But as parents, we never pushed him to do IIT karo. IIT nahi mila to, my God, try it again. And never our thought. We wanted him to do the way his capability is and the way he wants. So after
That freedom that you gave.
see, because we got that freedom from our parents, so it is a kind of legacy. Like you know, the mindset is flowing through. So we said, let him do what he wants. He chose mechanical, although he could get into the computer or electrical in IIT. Again, his choice. He said, okay, go ahead. Then after passing out engineering, that we wanted. That we wanted him to study outside India. It was a little bit, that time he was a bit saying, no, I won't go and US and all that. But we said, no, you go. And then he got into the Berkeley, he got the scholarship and he did his master's, not the doctorate. Because mostly the scholarships are given for the doctorate.
Doctorates. So masters is
Doctorates,
very
not
rare.
for the masters.
Yeah.
Did his masters in robotics and came back. Then again, we wanted him to get exposed to the worldwide companies outside India. So he went to Switzerland and did a job for 2 years in Goodale.
Oh.
Again, this so happened that Mr. Goodale once was on the same flight from Chennai as my husband.
Oh.
He said, send him over to Goodale in Switzerland. So he took his interview and appointed him straight in R&D of Goodale.
Wow.
So it was not a production job. He was working directly with the owner of the company, Rudolf Goodale. And so he had good exposure, 2 years. He had told him that time only that I'm not going to do this job for more than 2 years. Again, transparency becoming clear because he wanted to come back.
Come back and join the business.
Yeah. And that again was his own thought. And when somebody asked him, he said, I could see the potential in Grindmaster to take it, to the higher
the next
technology level, next level, and to the globe. So he said that if I work in Switzerland, USA, what challenges I will get or what satisfaction, I'll get it more in Grindmaster. And that is why he came
back.
So when people ask me about HR and this, I said, I've got my CEO. And that is, now it is his problem.
His problem to handle. Interesting.
Getting a CEO of his stature was the most difficult
Was the most difficult thing, yeah. How do you find the next person who will take this ahead? Also made you shift into robotics. In some form.
Yeah. That is how we rolled out a division which did robotic fettling. Fettling is a process of forging or casting has a flash.
Okay.
When it is cast, you always get a flash, which has to be removed and ground. This is all huge manual work. Huge. And it is really so painful doing this work. And it is sometimes can take your life also. The dust which comes out of it causes problems to the lungs. But people are still doing manually because cheap labor is available. But Samir then developed the robotic fettling solutions, which Grindmaster is making. But now he has licensed this technology to a Bangalore-based company.
Okay.
Because he said, I want to get deeper into micro finishing, and we are really doing wonders there. We are doing many new parts and new things in the finishing business.
Couple of more questions that I had was that, how is AI, robotics, all of this changing the industry? How is it changing manufacturing? What is the level of automation that we have in our country today? How do you see it growing?
I think with the advent of IT and digitalization, India has caught up very fast. In our times, as I told you, we saw micro finisher there. Physically we saw. Now it is all digital. So the technology which US IMCO developed way back in 1950s came to India in say after
50 years, 40 years.
40, 50 years. So that time this gap used to happen. The technology will come 30, 40 years. Now the gap is less than 10 years or 5 years
5
or even lesser because of advent of all these. So these are benefits of these technologies. In terms of automation, India is catching up very, very fast. Very fast. Unfortunately, not to the scale of China, because I always tend to compare it with China because we have our own office in China, and when we
Yeah.
see the Chinese companies, what they are doing, we always feel that we are not doing enough. And you see, automation is not for getting higher productivity alone. Believe me, the automation is to get the right quality every time, all the time. So there are many things which, if you do manually, can go wrong.
Yeah.
Whereas automation will never do that. So
Yeah.
robotics or automation has helped industry to do this quality job.
Now the industry is also shifting a lot to green, so there's a lot of electric
Yeah, yeah.
vehicles, etc. coming. So in your micro, does the 3 C's continue to be relevant in
Very
EV?
important question. And we realized this 5 years back when EV started coming pre-COVID. And during COVID, though, the business went down like
Yeah.
anything. And our China business went very down because China went into EV very, very much.
Very rapidly.
And very rapidly. So the 3 C's, as you rightly said, don't come into picture. But if you have hybrid, yes.
If
they
you have
come in.
hybrid, they come into picture.
And fortunately for us, now world is going more towards hybrid than a pure EV. But then, we realizing this, we develop multiple other applications. Some examples are there are big cylinders like printing cylinders which need a very, very fine finish on the surface. We do that. Then hydraulics. We are deep into hydraulics now. So hydraulic cylinders.
Understood.
So we developed machines for hydraulic cylinders, hydraulic spools.
Understood.
And then EV parts. EV parts started flowing to us because see what happens. The companies who made these transmission parts earlier for IC engine, they themselves made the EV parts for the EV because no EV maker will make the parts.
Correct.
Parts are all outsourced now. See, because what you rightly pointed out, our entire business was most dependent on cranks and cams. We had to think these other options
differently.
Yeah. So then we developed the bearing super finishing, which is our latest, say
addition.
3 years back, our first machine. Now 5th generation would come out. So it has to evolve. Then there are multiple things like even data center. Data center runs on heavy engines, which are made by Cummins, MTU. There are 3-4 big engine makers which make huge engines. Engine of half of this room size. And that engine has a crankshaft which is 7 meter long, 6 meter long. So earlier we did 3 meter, 4 meter ship crankshaft. But those crankshafts, now we are developing machines for that.
Fabulous.
Mr. Kelkar is in China for exactly that.
For doing that.
Or, because see, that nobody has made.
Yeah, and
see,
data
even
centers
Germans
are
have
just
not
going
made.
to be the future.
So it is something, see, now we are on the level playing.
You know, when the future is evolving so fast, when there is innovation, so how does a entrepreneur decide what to put your bet on? Like, will EV really take off? Like some of these answers we don't have.
Yeah, true.
Where is the next innovation going to come? So how do you identify the niche, or how do you keep up with the challenge?
See, here your customer connect is very important because as I told you, that transmission part one customer is making. He himself will tell you. When you go and ask him how many new lines you're going to set up, he says, no, transmission is not there. Then I ask, how are you going to expand your business? Then he says, okay, I'm getting into this. The crankshaft maker tells, I'm getting into this. And then you get the chance to develop. But this is a bigger challenge for automotive companies, that whether consumer will buy EV or a hybrid. More than me, it is a bigger challenge for them.
The value chain below.
For them, for them, because they are like B2C. I'm
B2C, you're
B2B.
B2B.
B2B means I need to hold my customer well,
Yeah.
and I will learn
And
from
you'll
that.
keep moving in the direction of the B2B. B2C will
B2C has a real challenge.
Challenge.
What will click?
What
What
will click,
will
what
work
will-
better?
Yeah.
So they are taking those risks.
In this 40 years, have you ever felt that, oh, we're not going to take off, or some massive crisis that, you found very, very hard to overcome?
No, actually, there were multiple crises. I will cite one that I told you about rim polishing machine. We made a very big rim polishing machine in 95, 96, somewhere there. And a Bangalore-based company ordered this machine on us. He was a supplier of TVS. He said he is a supplier of TVS. We were little bit naive that time. We said, okay. He gave a meager advance of 2 lakhs. And he said, I'll give you further advance, which never came. When we started building the machine, somewhere you can't stop in between.
Yeah.
When you load the parts with the vendors in your own machine shop, you have to
Complete
complete it. So we almost completed the machine, and this fellow still not giving advance. Then we went to Bangalore. Then we found that this person has vanished. He is just not there. His company is not there. Then we went to TVS. We said, is he your supplier? Then they said, no more.
Oh.
And such a huge rim polishing, which like we sold only to TI. We went back to TI, say we want one more machine, we have it ready. They said, no, we are full now. We don't want any machine. What to do with that big machine? I mean, it would have been a nightmare because that machine costed about 40 lakhs and my company was not big at that time. So it was a problem. But then, we said, but that pushed me into sales and marketing more. And I see that as a benefit.
So anything that happens, it's a learning. How to overcome, you get a
Always.
new opportunity
Yeah. So then we went to Yamaha. We said how your rims are polished, Bajaj Auto. Because earlier we were happy people are coming to us. Proactive, this approach which really led to our growth was missing. But we realized that when we came with this problem.
Understood.
So we always, both of us, we never had sleepless nights. We said, "Arey, ye hai na, kar lenge, kuch to kar lenge." We will do something. We will not say ki, "Arey, what to do? Keep crying or have sleepless nights." Never.
You left work at work, or it was always work all the
Many
time?
times we used to discuss, but of course my son was there, my in-laws. We stayed in a joint family, so it was this
Kind of different.
Yeah. But see, this kind of crisis also gave. See, when we went to Bajaj, they said 4 vendors. We went to the vendors. They said, no, this big machine, our factory itself cannot accommodate. Then we said, why are we making such a big machine? We can split it into small, and you see one rim polishing there. Which is a 2-station, and this was a fully automatic machine. We said we'll cut it and give you split it, and you put the rim manually, and then those machines we sold 100.
Wow. Wow.
I mean, I give this as an example because why this came about only because we had ended up in a problem.
Right. And you found out a solution and worked around it.
We then went to the market and we checked what the market wants. And then we developed the machine which suits them. And we sold many Bajaj, Yamaha, Honda. Everybody had a rim polishing from us, either semi-automatic or automatic. Even bicycle rims, even TI vendors in Ludhiana. Then we went there also. We said, don't buy that big machine. We are giving you 1/5 of the price. You use this.
So you need to be constantly thinking, innovating in
Yeah.
the mind and finding solutions.
And I think your mindset has to be positive. That's very important. That, see, whatever problem, there is no unsolvable problem to my mind. Yeah. And
Beautiful.
so because this was a big setback financially also, as I explained you earlier, I called my vendors myself rather than they calling me, and people don't pick up the phone when they don't have the money to pay. Don't pick up the phone. Here I called myself and told them that I am in this problem. Once I come out of this, I will pay you. This was proactively done by myself. So it is a transparency not only with the customer but with your own employees.
Employees
If you are
with
not
the
able to
vendors.
pay their salaries, you
Mm.
explain your problem and then they will support.
They will
Support
support.
comes.
Yeah.
Vendors also said, ma'am, don't worry. What else you want, you tell us. You
Mm.
buy further material, we will give you. It's not that we will stop since you are not paying. So this comes. But I mean, these problems actually teach you the ways. Where else would I learn all this?
Beautiful. Beautiful. Today you wear multiple hats. You're the president of IMTMA.
Yeah.
You know, which I know of Imtex a little bit, but you can tell me all that
Yeah.
IMTMA does. What's your new role there?
Yeah. So IMTMA is Indian Machine Tool Manufacturers Association. Yeah, and Imtex is the prime exhibition, which is brainchild of IMTMA, or really, I mean, Imtex is because of IMTMA. Imtex was started in Godrej halls earlier. Then it grew, and then we went to Pragati Maidan. Then again,
My father's machine has been once at Imtex.
Oh,
That's
is
why
it?
I knew
And
of
which
Imtex.
company?
He ran a small scale industry in Chennai.
Okay, yeah.
He built one of the first CNC machines.
Oh, I see. When my son joined our business, I realized that, see, I have worked hands-on. I have looked into every minute details, and that habit doesn't go. And somebody inherits your place. He has a different idea.
Thought
He
process.
has grown with not having enough money or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
He has a different idea and he will grow differently. So there used to be always discussions. I used to ask minute things. Ki, why, look here, then he is doing this wrong on the shop floor. So then I realized that let me give him a free hand, and because he is a intelligent boy, he will learn, and let him do the things his ways.
Right.
So slowly I started reducing my role, and at the same time IMTMA role came up. So IMTMA always wanted new people to join them. So I was Western Zone chairperson earlier. That is how you grow in.
Yeah, you grow into this. You become a chapter head, regional head, then you
correct,
become the...
Correct.
Right.
So I was a Western Zone chairperson before COVID. Then 2-3 years back, then my role further I reduced in Grindmaster. I was looking after only the business development part of it and marketing.
Right.
So then I said I can do more. So I became vice president in IMTMA. For 2 years, and then fortunately, since Samir had good grip on the business, I said now I'm retiring. So 1 year ago, I said no more daily work.
Daily
I'm
factory
there,
visit.
I'm there for the strategies. Like now new semiconductor thing is coming. What are the opportunities for us? I'll explore that. And then I became president of IMTMA last September.
Understood.
And so it is good. I mean, it is a new role, lot of new learning for me. IMTMA has about 200 people, staff, and in Bangalore, Pune Center and Gurgaon.
Okay.
And so and there is
you manage all of them.
and turnover of about same 200 CR. Turnover. So there are things to manage there. There are a lot of things to do, and I have the opportunity to do something for the manufacturing fraternity.
Right.
So see, machine tools was always a technocrat driven business.
Right.
So they are not known. I mean, when you called me, I was a bit surprised. How do you want to interview a machine tool company maker? But we are not in the limelight. And I feel somewhere...
to find people like you is not... you're hidden.
Hidden. And now the government wants to encourage manufacturing, and due to the current geopolitical scenario, government has realized that unless we develop manufacturing technology, because see, now you give PLI scheme to auto component, they will buy machines from Germany, China, Japan, unless you are able to compete with them with technology and cost, both.
Right.
The challenges are both ways. With
Right.
China, you have the cost challenge.
Yeah.
With Germans, you have the technology challenge.
Right.
Your machines are not precise enough. CNC machines
Right.
itself, and multi-axis is not there. CNC controls are imported.
Right.
So half of the things in the machine are imported.
Right.
Suppose tomorrow Japan or Germany says, I'm not giving you the best of my technology. Where will you be? So currently, in fact, we are working on that.
Beautiful.
How we should overcome this, what resources within India can be tapped together, where we can take help from outsiders like German institutes or from Taiwan or from Japan. So this is all very interesting for me. Another new challenge, I would
Yeah,
say.
and I think the country will benefit so much because
Yes,
you come
yes.
with such hands-on knowledge. You have done
Exactly.
all of this.
Yeah, lot
And
of
you're
this,
taking
yeah.
it at almost a national policy level.
Yeah, so we are indeed now at the policy level that we have a chance to play a role in that.
Beautiful.
And I'm taking up that. It's a new learning for me as well, but it's good. Yeah.
More power to you on that,
Yeah.
ma'am. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So, when I hear your story, ma'am, I feel India, and knowing what's happening in India, there is no dearth for talent, engineering talent in India, manufacturing abilities. But somewhere there's a gap in our being world class or being a global supplier. There aren't as many here. What would you attribute that to, and how do you think as a country we can overcome that?
I can easily see the difference in the mindset. The risk-taking ability or hard-working ability of Chinese is missing here. The discipline of Japanese, when you visit Japan, you clearly know the way they are disciplined. So the reliability comes from that. We are good in doing something and getting very excited about it. That we have developed this. There are n number of technologies developed in IITs, but what is the impact? So when it comes to really making it at scale and reliably, there is a good amount of discipline which is required, which is a big miss out. The discipline is a big miss out. I feel that our government has started giving lot of free things to people. I'm not saying any political party which has done it, but it is across India. Giving such free things in the hands of people, you are making them lazy.
Yeah.
Why would somebody, forget about my high-tech technology industry or your AI business, but even the farming, even the simple jobs, the skill of a plumber, carpenter, these are all diminishing. A welder, you need hands. The manufacturing industry needs skilled hands. And there are n number of ITIs which have, many vacant people just not getting there and not doing the work.
What do you think will change it?
I think we should stop giving freebies like Ladki Bahin and all that. The Bahins are happy working. I mean, they should be happy by working rather than getting some freebies and the free monies. I think India has always excelled when there was very adversity. So any adversity, then you wake up and then you do something and overcome it.
We have phenomenal caliber. We have, such intelligent minds.
Yeah. But you see, you develop something, say 60%. Taking it to 80 to 90 itself is a
big
different effort. And from 90 to 100, if you have gone through my company, we have 100 minus 1 is equal to 0. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
So that is our kind of quality policy which catches lot of attention. But to go to that level, you have to really work hard with the focus and with the discipline. So that is something which is coming in the way of taking us to the world-class level. Another important thing I realized which is hampering the manufacturing industry is we do not respect people who work with their own hand. This is a fundamental issue with our society. You take anyone, you take your household help. What respect do you give them? It is not only the money that you pay them, it is also the respect. Somebody who is cleaning the roads, somebody who is even plumbing. Yeah,
Right.
you want him very badly. But
Yeah.
once he comes and does your work, he is the last person you are bothered about. Electrician, you take any such handwork, even in the companies. So in our company, even a fitter is paid more than an engineer. He has his own house, he has a car.
Lovely.
So unless you respect the skill and working with the hands, which is what is manufacturing. Whatever you do, automation and all, finally it has to be also built.
Built.
The automation has to be designed and made. So unless you have the skill to do it, you will never be able to do that. And that skill needs to be honed. And this is where the difference in a German and our machine is the workmanship,
The workmanship.
the build standard, and we are working very hard to develop that.
So Chinese strategy, Japanese discipline, and
And
German
German skill.
German skill.
They are very good, and I mean, there is no supervisor there. When I went to German companies, I did not see supervision. The things are given to the people and they are doing it. They are assembling a machine.
Beautiful.
Engineers
Yeah.
are designing. There
Yeah.
is no quality inspector.
Hmm.
Because the owner of that company said that if the quality is wrong, the part will not fit itself in the machine.
Beautiful.
So it is all a different culture in
culture.
all these countries, and we are fighting with lot of cultural issues, actually huge cultural issues. And I think
Understood.
they need to start from the school. School is the best way to discipline, people.
But the value system has to come from within. Ma'am, if
Yeah.
you were to start this company today,
Yeah.
what would you do differently? Or is there anything you would do differently at all?
This company today, maybe then we would not be in the crankshaft business, maybe because it is different, and maybe in AI because the times have changed so much that it will be. But I would say that today the opportunities are huge. Take semiconductor. I mean, with that same fire in the belly, if person is there now, he would do so many things.
You can
You
crack.
would-
There is opportunity is enormous.
Yeah, there is AI, there is semiconductor, electronics, then EV. Of course, every manufacturing technology has grown. So there are new things coming up there. So
Yeah. Sky is the limit.
Yeah.
Actually, for India. We'll do a quick rapid fire.
okay.
It's part of the format. So do you enjoy being an engineer or an entrepreneur?
Ah,
What's your pick?
I think entrepreneur.
Entrepreneur. Precision or speed?
Precision.
What is one value that has guided you throughout in these last 40 years?
Genuinity. Be genuine always and be true to yourself. It helps in life, I think.
What is one habit that has helped you sustain yourself in a long career?
Okay. I have a habit that whatever work I'm thinking for the day, finish it, come what may. So the end point up to
You don't leave anything done.
I don't like to leave the thing for the next day. It may be bad or good, I don't
No,
know.
you don't procrastinate. I think most people we
Yeah.
now struggle with procrastination. So that
Yeah.
is wonderful. What is one book that you have gifted very many times?
Now I'm gifting Garage to Global book.
Oh, is it? Oh, I didn't know you've written a book.
Yeah. No, my son has. Oh, I did not give you that.
No.
Oh my God, so sorry. But I'll give you Garage to Globe is the book which my son has written.
Beautiful.
Actually, Garage to Global.
Global.
And he has written on our journey, the Grindmaster journey, from the beginning up till now. So we completed 40 years 1 or 2 years back.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was released at Impex. In fact, last Impex, it was formal book launch was done.
there.
So that is the book I gift most nowadays.
Obviously. And
Yeah.
it's such a privilege to have that.
Yeah.
What is one advice to an entrepreneur who's starting out today?
I would just say that now or never. Now is the most opportune time for India. The world is looking at us. So it is up to you to just do it. I would say just do it. Whatever you are thinking you like to do, just do it, and certainly be perseverant. As you have seen through our journey, the perseverance has to be there in any
Anything
business.
that you choose
Yeah,
to do.
in anything you choose. And you see, for women, I would say that women in manufacturing, many people ask me about this, that because of the advent of automation, AI flowing into the manufacturing, Now it is a more level playing field. Earlier, there was some kind of laborious work involved
Yeah.
in manufacturing, which is reduced substantially. And
Yeah.
so, for women folks, I think it is a really
Good
even
time.
AI.
AI.
It's a completely
Level
a
playing field.
complete
Yeah.
green field.
Yeah.
You
Like I
have
was telling somebody, if I can think of starting a technology company, then times have really changed.
Yeah.
You know, it is democratized.
absolutely, absolutely. And so
Yeah.
there is this gender bias and gaps have
Gaps have
reduced substantially, I would
Substantially.
say.
Indian entrepreneur you greatly admire.
Baba Kalyani.
I knew that answer would come,
Yes,
but
yes, because I have met him a few times. In fact, he has written the foreword for our book.
oh wow,
And I admire him for his technocrat, technical abilities, number one. Number two, his acumen, business acumen, and see the future. You know, when Bharat Forge, he bought the first huge forging press. It was the largest forging press in India, and people ridiculed. They said, what he will do on this? It will not pay back. It is more than paid back. Then he went into defense and aerospace. Again, you know, but he has that vision.
Foresight and vision.
He has absolutely that foresight, and then also the ability, capability to go to that level. Getting those right people, building the organization, he has it all. I really respect him a lot.
One global enterprise that you admire?
3M.
3M.
For innovation reason.
Yeah. One Indian woman, you know, either in the bureaucracy or political, whatever landscape that, you know, you look up to.
Okay, she is not from my field, but yes, Nirmala Sitharaman.
Nice.
I happened to meet her actually.
Okay.
As a part of IMTMA, pre-budget some thing. And you know, when the way she interacts, the way she is knowledgeable, firm about her
thought process.
Otherwise, you know, then you cannot sway away.
Yeah.
Very clear in her mind what the government wants or what she talks about. Absolutely. I mean, hats off. And very simple in nature, very down to earth.
One thing young founders overestimate.
The success.
One thing young founders underestimate.
Underestimate their tenacity and ability. So they try to, if there is a failure, leave it fast, then be at it. Have that tenacity to really make it a success.
One technology, there's so many technologies now, but one technology that you think is going to redefine the future.
Redefine the future. I think AI, because AI is really, I mean, changing in every sphere. Medical you take.
Yeah.
I mean, tomorrow you will find that AI doing your operation. I mean,
or AI enabling to a large extent.
Enabling to a big extent.
One message for us, one message for the We Women Project, one message for India from you, ma'am. Thank you so much, but thank you so much for your wisdom and time.
I believe in what our Prime Minister said, Atmanirbhar. This is a very, very important. We have to think and become Atmanirbhar, come what may. See, the world sometimes take you for granted if you are not strong within, and that is what our Prime Minister is driving. I really appreciate and I would support that initiative in all ways. Through IMTMA also we are working on it to get to become Atmanirbhar
in every
sense. Should be the aim of everyone, and if you do that, in a way you can also fulfill your career ambition. You just think what is getting imported today, develop it, that's it.
I think it's been so inspiring to hear your story. I think India needs so many Mrs. Kelkars in so many forms and shapes. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for giving your time for We Women Project.
Thank you, Vilasini. And it was a pleasure. Your questions were a little different. I think you did good homework. I always like people who put their heart and soul in whatever they do.
I was really looking forward to this. Thank you so much.
निराकार तो निर्गुण ईश्वर, निराकार तो निर्गुण ईश्वर, कसा प्रकटला असा विटेवर, कसा प्रकटला असा विटेवर, उभय ठेविले हात कटीवर, उभय ठेविले हात कटीवर पुतळा चैतन्याचा